So we have our instruction model is project based. A lot of what we do is learn and do, right? And so our students walk away with skills in front end and back end development. And we wrap these skills in an environment that always seeks to be agile and encourages Socratic questioning. Someone might say, what is Socratic questioning? And my kids know it well. They might not know the term, but a lot of times my young people will ask me a question after we've done an assignment, and they actually know what to do, but they may have a question. And I'll ask a question to their question, and they're like, that wasn't the answer. And I'm like, well, I need you to go back and do some research on it, right? And so we're constantly wanting our students to become independent thinkers, independent learners, independent doers. So we kind of have two seasons in Code for Life. We have a fall and spring session, and then we also have our summer intensive. Our fall and spring sessions run for 16 weeks, so about 4 months, fall and spring respectively. And then we meet twice a week for 2 hours. So it's either a Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday and Thursday. And then our summer intensive is 4 days a week for 3 hours a day for 6 weeks. So that's what we do. In that time, we have 2 different tracks right now. We have Web Basics. You can go to the next slide. We have Web Basics, and Web Basics is basically teaching our kids from the ground up. So a lot of our students come in not knowing anything about coding at all. Some of them come in having some Scratch background. Shout out to Mr. A, Johnny Acevedo in the chat. He is one of our champions who has taught a lot of our students Scratch and other hardware technology. And they come in with this framework and they're great to work with. But a lot of our students don't come in with any type of knowledge. And so they learn HTML and CSS. We also get them involved with GitHub. And so coming into the program, I really wanted to kind of change the narrative of what kids can do. And even being hired, Chris kind of challenged me. If anyone knows Chris is like, me and him are like yin and yang. Like, I'm the realist, and Chris like believes that, 3-year-olds can do neurosurgery. Like, he believes that, like, genuinely. And so we've had, bouts and arguments about it, but I finally budged. And me coming more from a boot camp background, because I have a degree in public health, but me coming from a boot camp background, I'm like, man, I learned this, in the middle of trying to build my own career. Let me try to see what kids can do, right? And so we have this intensive. And so we teach them HTML and CSS, so they are able to build a static functional website. We teach them everything from the ground up. And we don't baby them. We give it to them full brunt. And to our surprise, they do super well with it. And so we also teach them GitHub, how to be able to deploy your code. So GitHub is a place where we are able to store code as developers. We're also able to collaborate with different teams. And you can think of any tech company, they're probably using GitHub to store their code and be able to collaborate with one another. And so the basis for that is we want to teach our kids the full gambit of what it could be to be a developer or a software engineer. We think about David in the Bible, and David like puts on Saul's armor. He's like, you know what? This don't really fit. This don't fit me. And what we want to do is we want to create an environment for our kids to be able to try on coding and say, does this fit or not, right? And so going on, we have our coding and development track, and you're going to see some of our students after I'm done here, and they're learning JavaScript. So we're teaching loops, we're teaching functions, they're learning arrays, they're learning variables, they're learning comparative operators and logical operators. I know a lot of that is like, what did you just say? But just think about an intro to computer programming class in college or in high school, and this is what these kids are getting now. And my belief about that is, if you don't know me personally, I'm a huge basketball guy. Like, I love basketball. Team LeBron James, I hope he wins the championship this year. But I think about like people who love sports, and their reasoning for putting their kids in sports is either you want your kid to go to the NBA or professional league, or you want them to learn some skills, right? You want them to learn some character attributes, right? You want them to become confident, or you want them to become determined, right? And I believe that coding does the same thing, right? Our kids, day in and day out, are coming up against errors in their code and coming up against failure, and they're able to, um, learn how to get over that and to be determined. All right, so we can go on. And so some of the skills that we teach our kids are agile methodologies, which is big right now, Scrum, Lean, Less. And so we're teaching them those methods as well, as we know that's very popular now in the industry. And so our students do daily stand-ups, which a daily stand-up is every time we meet and they're working on their projects, we go around the room. What did you do yesterday? What did you do the day before? What are you doing today? What are some blocks or some things that are causing you to not be able to finish up your code? We want it to feel like a tech company. That's how we kind of run things. And so they're learning how to learn as well, collaboration and whiteboarding. As a developer myself, the grudge of whiteboarding, if no one knows what whiteboarding is basically you go to a coding interview and they're telling you, hey, instead of writing the code in the computer to see how good you are, how about you write it down? Just write the code from memory. And so we have our kids do that, and they actually enjoy that. And so lastly, what is the reason why I love being a part of Code for Life? Carl alluded to it a little bit, but I get to unearth confidence in my youth, and I get to invest skills. And for me to be able to see that confidence in them is powerful, because a lot of our students coming in may not think they can do it, may not think that they're smart enough, and they're told all these lies, just by different sources. And we're here to help dispel those lies. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead. One more thing. Yeah, so this summer, we're also going to be doing our programs. We're going to be doing a Web Basics course in Bronx River Houses in the South Bronx. And we're also going to have our summer JavaScript course in Mott Haven. We're going to be teaching Ear Sketch, which is an intersection through Georgia Tech between music and coding, and P5JS, which is an intersection between art and JavaScript as well.